Thanks for tuning in for another interview. This is Mike again. With us today is Jerry from Wizard World. How you doing today, Jerry?
Doing fabulous. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, good to have you. I have to admit, I don't know whether to call you just Jerry or try and shorten it to Jer, but then some people don't like it.
Whatever you prefer, I'm good.
Okay, good to know. Um, so yeah, you work for Wizard World Comic Con, or I guess do you guys even tag the Comic Con on the end, or you just Wizard World?
Well, the company's called Wizard World, but we do Comic Cons is one of the things we do. Obviously, our main business. So Wizard World Comic Con. Our shows are called Wizard World Comic Con, then the name of the city. So we're going to Wizard World Comic Con Columbus next week. We'll be in Chicago the end of August, and so Wizard World is the company name, and Wizard World Comic Con is what we do.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm actually going to be at the Madison one. So, um, why don't you give us a brief history of Wizard World, the company, in case anyone, for some reason, hasn't heard of you?
Sure. Well, Wizard World has been a few things in its history. So the old history of Wizard World, and I'm almost 8 years with Wizard World, so I traverse some of this history. But the original history of Wizard World is it was a Wizard magazine. The company was Wizard Magazine, and published starting in the early 90s and right on through about 20 years or so. It was the kind of Bible for folks who love pop culture and love comics. It was the way for people before the internet to keep up on what was going on in the world of comics, and it evolved into more pop culture. It took on some digital as the digital age came, and about 20 years ago, 1998 was the first one, was the first Wizard World produced Comic-Con show. That was Chicago Comic-Con in 1998, and we're going to be celebrating our 20th Wizard World Comic-Con this year, so next year's the anniversary, but this year is the 20th show in Chicago. Wow. So it's been at the same location in Rosemont for 20 years, and it's grown from a 2-day show with a few thousand people to a 4-day show with tens of thousands of people who have come to the past few Wizard World Comic-Con Chicago events. So the magazine was discontinued about 6-7 years ago, but the Wizard World name lives on in these Wizard World Comic-Con shows, and we expanded from doing between 2 and 4 shows in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, to 8 shows about 5 years ago, to 16. We expanded one year even to 24, and now we've kind of based back down to 16, which is probably about the right number. So over the first 11 months of the year, we do about 16 shows. And that looks like the plan moving forward. But the company has evolved and continues to evolve into all areas of pop culture. And it's really a celebration of pop culture.
Yeah, I was actually one of the, I don't know what you want to say, partakers of the magazine way back in the day. It was sad to see it go. I used it quite a bit, read through it, even used it for the price guide in the back for a while. So, you guys deal with a lot of stars now in your cons. Can you tell us the weirdest request you've had from a star? And I realize probably you can't give the name, but have you had the veritable "I want every green Skittle" or things like that you kind of hear?
No, because here's what happens with Wizard World is our shows are opportunities for celebrities to meet fans. Obviously, it goes the other way. It's fans meeting celebrities. But for celebrities, the ones who are good at interacting with fans or want to interact with fans, and those are the ones that are the most successful at our shows. So it's different when you're talking about a celebrity who's doing a concert or a celebrity who's doing a movie. And they're going to have certain restrictions and things that are what they need for that particular event that they're doing. Our celebrities, they come in for 2, 3, 4 days in some cases. They're meeting fans. They're interested in what fans have to say to them. They're interested in answering questions. They're interested in learning more about getting feedback from their performances. So the kinds of celebrities that are interested in our shows are not likely to be the ones that are needing that kind of special attention. And
Okay.
it certainly, there can be exceptions to that. In my position in public relations, I mean, I work mostly with the ones who are doing press. So if they're doing interviews in advance, or if they're doing interviews on site, or we have special things, for me, those kinds of special needs and things, even if those exist, I probably don't see them, and I probably don't want.
Okay.
I probably don't want to know about them. For a while we were doing some things with some of the, I guess, YouTube stars, and they were kind of new to the whole process and new to
Okay.
having so much tension on them. But I think that the great part about our shows is that it's unlikely that there's going to be a celebrity at our show, unless it's the very first time they've been at a show of this type, that isn't going to be someone that people want to meet, or is going to be someone that's going to give us a difficult time. Because honestly, if it doesn't work for them and it doesn't work for us, then they're probably not going to be at a show like this. Coming to a show like this is a complete choice for them. If they don't want to be part of this, it's okay. And there have been some celebrities that have come to our shows, and it's just not been the right fit. And that's okay. It's okay. We want to try new things. We want to have the opportunity to be that test case for celebrities, that if it is something that really works, then we've got somebody who's going to want to do this for a long time. And if it's someone who just doesn't, then that's okay too, and we move on, and fans will understand that.
That's cool. That's it. Always good to hear. Yeah, I know my wife and I are pretty excited about going. We have some people we want to see there, hope to see there, things like that. I think next year, especially you mentioning your anniversary, I think we're gonna have to go to Chicago, uh, do that one next year.
Yeah, and the Madison show, it springs from us having been in Chicago. So, like I said, we've been in Chicago
Okay.
for 20 years, and people have been coming to those shows. Like I said, for years and years, we did Philadelphia, Chicago. We do a show like in Dallas one year. We did a show in Anaheim one year. Like we really weren't doing a lot of shows outside of those very small staff, lean staff. Just that kind of world of Comic Cons hadn't expanded like it has now, and we were part of that expansion about
Hmm.
5-6 years ago. And people were coming there from Indianapolis, and they were coming to Chicago from Minneapolis, and they were coming from Des Moines, and they were coming from Madison, and they were coming from Milwaukee, and they're saying, you guys should do shows here. We have a big fan base here. We have a great convention center. So we started investigating cities all over the country. Our team must have visited 50 different cities looking for that combination. You have to have a convention center that can handle a crowd that we would get, that has the right kind of setup. We want our show to be one all-encompassing pop culture festival, not 12 different rooms with a different thing in every room. That's not how our shows go. We need a fan base in a city that's interested in the kinds of pop culture. And now that's expanded so much that it's hard to find a city that's not interested in that. But it's just, the timing needs to be far enough away from a close by city in some cases, or one that it's so, a big show like Chicago, we can still have shows that are surrounding it, because everyone can't make it that particular time. But we need it needs to be dates that work for a convention center, dates that work on our schedule. And in Madison, we really found that. We found there were a lot of people in Wisconsin and in Milwaukee, that's not that far away, of course, and Madison, that knew that this would work. And they were right. This will be our third year back in Madison, and we couldn't be happier with it.
Yeah, we are definitely excited. I got some of our stuff booked. I know I need to still buy my VIP tickets, because I want to get a hold of that. Some of the swag you guys got on those. Now, have you? I guess offbeat question. You ever been starstruck with any of the people you've met at the cons? Like, I mean, you got to be a fan too. So, you run into one of the celebrities and just been, tongue tied.
Well, I hear you. I'm a little older, so my fandom or my fan base might skew a little older. So one of the first celebrities that I met that I really kind of made a connection with, and really wanted to kind of learn more and explore more. And sometimes it's from seeing stuff on their tables. Richard Anderson, and Richard Anderson was the he played the boss on $6 Million Man, and he was in probably 100 different movies. So even when and he started coming to our shows, right? I mean, I'm 7. Yeah, I've been going to Wizard World shows or working for Wizard World since '09. So he was at some of those first shows in 2010, 2011. And just to he goes back to the 40s and 50s in his acting. So he's been, he's somebody like that to me, had such a treasure trove of knowledge of the world of movies and music and pop culture and art and everything. That's like, he just has been in so many things. So for me, it's meeting somebody like that who has a history or goes back, more so than just, here's my favorite show and I'm meeting a person from it, which has happened a little. Hawaii Five-0, the original Hawaii Five-0 was my favorite program growing up. So we've had a few. I mean, the main actors have all passed away from that show, but we've had a few that have been guests, including Richard was a guest. He played a very mean character on that show, and he remembered that. So we were able to talk about something that, he was just a small part of his career, but that somebody was interested in that little bit of his career. The celebrities love that. Like, you can go up to Michael Kudlitz and talk to him about Walking Dead and Lost all the time, but he'd probably rather you talk about one of his other things that he's done, because that would be something that they just don't hear about very often.
Oh, that's cool. It's always good to find, I guess that the stars can be relatable. That you can bridge the gap on different things like that. And I'm sure that I would get tired of hearing the same thing every time. Like, I love you on Walking Dead. Good. You and a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think they get tired of
you, but
yeah, and I wouldn't say that they get tired of that. I think that what happens is they hear it a lot, and the answers become rote to what. But if you talk to Lou Ferrigno, Lou Ferrigno he has embraced being being the Hulk and being the thing he's most identified with, at least as much as anyone. Adam West was like this as well. We were so fortunate that we had Adam at probably 12 to 15 of our shows over the past few years. And so I've gotten to meet him and know him a little, which was tremendous. There's a guy that, cool. I mean, it took a while, but then once he embraced it, fully embraced. And I think that's what you'll find with the celebrities. You're not going to find celebrities at our shows that don't embrace that character. So you're not going to come and see Ray Park and have him not want to talk about Darth Maul. I mean, that's why he's there. Like, he gets that. He understands that. Jason David Frank, when Jason David Frank is at one of our shows, he's the Power Ranger. Like, if he didn't want to talk about the Power Ranger, people would come up and go, why are you here then? Like, he gets that. That's the maybe main reason how people know him. They love for him to, and he'd love for them to know all of his other projects and things he has going on. But he knows that it's all based around that, and the celebrities that come to our shows. Like, and I understand there are celebrities who will play a part, and it won't be something that they want to be remembered for forever, and that's okay. You're probably not going to see those folks at these kinds of shows if that annoys them. If it's annoying, if it was annoying for Lou Ferrigno for people to come up and say, you're not going to don't get me angry. Like, if he didn't like that, I think you'd stop seeing him at shows. I think you're never going to stop seeing Lou Ferrigno at shows. Because he engages with fans and engages with media. See, for me, as the public relations manager, I get most connected to the celebrities who are interested in doing things to help us spread the word that they're there at the shows. And so, so I'll work with Lou Ferrigno a lot. I'll work with Nicholas Brendan a lot. I'll work with whichever celebrities are most interested. And for me, Barry Bostwick. For me, it's getting to know them on that level is great, because you find out that there are people that happen to have the talent that they have is one that is has made them well known to people. While there's plenty of people who have talents at other things that just don't make them that well known. In most ways, they're just like you and me.
Sure, yeah, like you said, them being relatable, be able to talk to their fans, sit there in conversation with them. it's cool to see. Good, great to hear. And I mean, imagine if they couldn't handle, well, handle maybe not the right way to say it. If they didn't love doing that, they wouldn't be at your shows. So
Right,
um,
and look, sometimes you don't know how it's going to work, and then all of a sudden someone comes to a show, and the next thing you know, they've signed up for five more. And for us, that's we're meeting new celebrities and new people all the time.
sure,
We're doing 16 shows a year or more for this many years. You're going to cycle through folks. We try not to have the same celebrities come to every show every year. But then you're going to, we try some new people. So in Chicago, we're going to have Elizabeth Olsen at the first show that she's ever done for us. Lenny James is going to be at that show, Walking Dead. And,
right.
you never know if you're going to end up with the next, Michael Rooker, who did one of our shows. And the next thing you know, he's doing every show. And that's before Guardians. I mean, that he was doing our shows, and he became one of our most popular guests.
Yeah, he's a character, all right. So I guess I'm gonna move. I have my questions here. I'm gonna jump back and forth on some stuff because I want to get. Who's the one star for that you guys have not gotten into a Wizard World Con yet that you would want to get? Do you guys have like a wish list of people you go after?
Yeah, it's talent acquisition is such a vital part of what we do, because it's the front face. When you go to our website, what do you see? The first thing you see is what city it is, and you scroll down a little, and there's the celebrity. So we know that there's so many things about our show that people love, but the front facing thing is which celebrities are coming. So it's such a difficult puzzle to put together for our talent team, and it has so many factors. Availability of the celebrities is the number one factor. If it's someone who's not available to come to shows on certain weekends or at all because of their schedules, then you cross them off, or you hope that there's an opportunity at another time down the road. So the availability of celebrities is important. For us, we want to have a variety of different celebrities at shows, so that you're not just going to a show and it's just 7 Buffy guests and 2 Batman guests and nobody else. You have to make sure that when you go to a show that fans of different genres will have opportunities to meet different people. And that's just a family will go, and somebody will want to meet Barry Bostwick because they love Rocky Horror and they love Spin City, but they'll also want to meet Kevin Conroy. And that might be a completely different, like those are 2 completely different worlds of pop culture. But someone in one family, a family of 4 is going to have 3 or 4 different kinds of genres they might like, or different people they want to meet. So we want to make sure we have a variety. So schedule has to fit for them, schedule has to fit for us. The agreement needs to work for us, the timing. There's so many factors. We try not to bring the same guests back every year to the same cities. We like to have so that when you go to this year's Madison, you'll see a whole different set of people. And then there's the factor of wanting to bring new people into shows to see if they're going to be ones that'll be kind of Comic-Con friendly, and sometimes we get a nice surprise. Hey, try this show, see if you like it. It's a test for us, it's a test for them. And if you like this whole idea, then great. If it's something that doesn't work for you, then that's okay too, and we move forward. So it's tough. So to pick one individual out, I mean, it's hard because we'd love to have any big name that you name. We'd probably love to have them at a show. But there's going to be so many factors that go into that you hope that we can figure out a way to bring someone in like that's going to make sense. But again, if you look at our shows, you'll have 1 or 2 or 3, quote unquote headliners, and again, headliners for different people or different things. A headliner for me might be different for someone else. But if if you're a big Doctor Who fan, and David Tennant and Alex Kingston are coming to a show, and John Bowerman are all coming to a show together, you're going to be over the moon. But if you're someone who's never seen that before, you're going to be like, okay, I don't know who they are, or that's okay, but man, I can't wait to see the WWE stars, or I love The Walking Dead, or Summer Glau's coming to a show, I love Firefly. So, you're going to see, Tom Wilson from Back to the Future. Biff, like, if you're a Back to the Future person, like, Biff, that's like almost like as big as seeing the Super Duper star from another show. So whatever you're excited about, that's who the headliner is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you had me there for a moment. You said Summer Glau, and my heart skipped a little bit there.
She's coming to Chicago. You don't live that far. And Summer, I tell you, Summer Glau has been coming to our shows. I was going through. We had some movement in our New York office, and I had a lot of the old. Most of our office is California now, and I'm in New York, so I had all the old files and all the old photos, and I was going through them. I don't want these things to get lost. This is the history of Wizard World, and I found a binder of CDs and DVDs with photos on them. And I found a photo of Summer Glau from at one of our shows with our former CEO and his kids from like 2003 or 2004. I mean, this is going back a while, and so you're looking, you see someone who's been connected with Wizard World for that long, and still coming to shows and still drawing big crowds for shows, and maybe some of them are coming for Arrow and some are coming for Firefly, Serenity, whatever. Again, the celebrities that come to our shows have this kind of multiple fandoms that most of them have that might be in the same, someone might like them for two things, but it might be two completely different. Like Michael Rooker, Guardians has now moved him to a kind of another level of fandom expanded, but at the same time, people still want to talk to him about The Walking Dead. And they're always going to want to. And he embraces that, even if some of the photos behind him are going to be of Yondu. He's always going to be known for The Walking Dead, and fortunately, he embraces that.
Yeah, he's always seemed like a real good one. And I love that you guys have a big range of stars, so I can get my fandoms in, like, all over the place, not just go to, say, a Firefly convention or a Marvel convention or things like that. Now, for you, what is your favorite thing to do at the cons? Like, the stars, withstanding, like, everyone wants to meet the stars, but what else? What's one of your favorite things?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my role is so specific that that I don't get to kind of enjoy all the things I'd probably want to if I were able to get around. I mean, I'm working at a registration area, doing press, taking press folks around. But I tell you, the programming and the Q&As, and I don't just mean the celebrity Q&As, I mean the breadth and the diversity of what we do in the programming area, I think is the heart and soul of our show, honestly.
Okay.
People can come to our show, and if you don't want to meet one celebrity, you don't want to get one autograph, you don't want to get a photo op, if that's not your thing, there's still stuff to do from the minute you get there. The minute we open at 4 o'clock on Friday, and in the case of Chicago, 4 o'clock on Thursday, because we have the 4-day show, till the minute we close on Sunday at 4 o'clock, we have an entertainment stage that has different music, local musicians and magic and dancing and karaoke and all different kinds of things. But our program, which is new this year, but our programming area, which is still this is in addition to the Q&A panels. People will go and just if you're a comics person and you want to learn more about the industry or just want to learn about how a certain celebrity or a certain celebrity artist comes up with their ideas or what their process is or how they got into the business or what have you. You can literally sit all day in our panels and have different artists of different genres come up and you can learn from them, or you can hop from them, and there's sci-fi speed dating, which is this fun, like, and you laugh at it and it does sound funny at first, but they got tons of marriages and babies and it's tremendous. And people.
Oh no! It was a laugh because I'm impressed. I mean, that's awesome.
So we do that at shows.
Judging.
No, not at all. To be able to sit and see what and listen to someone like Mike Grell talk about how he prepares for when he's writing, or James O'Barr talking about The Crow and how it grew into this mega franchise that he's been part of all along the way. The great part for James is that he did the comics and the graphic novels and what have you, and then when it became a film and it became other iterations, he was there as part of the whole process. Those are things that and I'm not a big comics person. I'm a sports fan. I'm a Yankees fan and a Packers fan, and for me,
Okay.
which is okay, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, funny enough, I'm originally from Houston, so I'm displaced in Milwaukee. Like I'm a Astros fan and a Texans fan and a Longhorns fan. So just to hear you in New York as a
As a
Packers fan, it's
Packers,
like, oh,
I'm a
yeah,
Packers fan from 40 years ago, just to pick a team that was different than my friends. But for me,
gotcha.
even though that's my primary thing, and I'm not a comics person, there's still tons of stuff at a Wizard World show. I got to meet Richard Anderson. Like, I got to meet. I had an experience earlier this year. It was in February or March, and we had a lot of shows piling up, and I got in a 24-hour time period. I got either a phone call or a text or an email from Henry Winkler, Gene Simmons, Lou Ferrigno, and Eric Estrada. And I'm like, man, if it was 1978, I would have been the coolest guy in the room. It wasn't 1978, but I still was. Like, for me, those are, and I'm not being a big rock and roll fan. It wasn't like the Gene Simmons help, but that Gene Simmons, I mean, these are people who, those are four of the biggest names in pop culture of the past 40 years. Why am I getting a text from Lou Ferrigno? Because, Wizard World has brought all these worlds together. And even for someone who's not a big comics fan, that was a pretty big 24-hour experience for me. To have that be part of, and if I'm an attendee at a Wizard World show, I get to pick the parts of that are the most vital to me. John Cusack is coming to our show in Chicago. John Cusack, I mean, he's been in a lot of movies. None of them really, not too many of them have that much to do with sci-fi or comics. Yeah. But he was a big hit at the last show that he came to, and it's going to be huge in Chicago.
Sure. Yeah, I wish I had my schedule prevents me, unfortunately, from going to Chicago. That's why we chose Madison, since it's close to us. And I'm excited to see everyone who is going to end up going. I know I've seen a few that I'm excited to try and see.
We're getting there. I mean, that show is that's 4 shows away, so we're still building.
Right.
And it's at a time that like a lot of people are filming, so they don't know their schedules yet. So it doesn't mean that we won't have 7 or 8 more celebrities. But we got a pretty good start. I'm pretty happy with how the start is, and it's again Lenny James, that's new for us. Sean Marr, that's new for us. Emma Caulfield's only come to a couple of shows, but I think she's going to be a regular now. She's been a big hit, and she's done some advance press for us. So and of course the stalwart like Lou Ferrigno. But we're going to have some fun in that city. It's been that's a good example for us of a city that we took a chance on based on fans saying that they thought it would be good. And look, we tried Indianapolis and it didn't fit for us, but Minneapolis has been a good city, and Madison has been a great city, and Des Moines has been a great city. And those are all extensions of fans having liked the Chicago show. Cleveland, I would say, not as many people from Cleveland came to Chicago, but Cleveland was an open market for us, and we've had 3 blockbuster shows. I mean, one after the other in a city like Cleveland that's really embraced us. But that's what we love about Madison is that we've had people ready for us to be back there since the day that the show ended last year. So we can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I'm excited to go.
I need cheese curds too. Cheese curds.
Oh yeah. How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah, Madison has a nice downtown area, and then the area over by the Capitol building has all those restaurants. And the worst part of it is that on Saturday night you can't get in them because they're you get there and they're like, well, you have a 2-hour wait. There's so many great places, but I have to wait till Sunday night usually to be able to go out and get a meal there because the good places are all taken. But we really love
all packed.
Really love Madison and the whole experience there has been great.
Cool. I guess in your experience of being at these cons, who would you say was the most well-represented fandom so far that you've seen? Like, who comes out in force?
It's changed over time. I mean, again, I'm almost 8 years with Wizard World. So 2009 was the first show. So we had, early on, we had a pretty good wave of Buffy, where we bring 6 or 7 or 8 guests. And we put them in almost a separate square, and some people would go from person to person to person to person, getting photos, getting autographs, and but it's still there. Buffy is. I mean, I think it ebbed, and now it's almost come back to where and now we're getting Emma Caulfield, and we're getting some people who haven't been to a lot of shows. Whereas James Marsters is going to be a hit no matter what show, and James has been to 60% of shows since I've been around, or whatever number of shows, almost 100, probably almost 100 shows or so that I've been to, and he's been to almost all of them. And it doesn't slow down the fandom. The people have come, they've seen him before, they see him again. So you had Buffy. You're always going to have the Star Wars and the Star Trek. I think those are things that whether or not we have
staples.
Whether or not we have a Ray Park or a or someone like that at our show. We've had Nichelle Nichols at several shows recently. The absolute nicest. I mean, she is and we've just been so fortunate. In fact, she was at the very first show that I worked at in 2009 in New York. We did a show, and then she hadn't been for a long time, and then she suddenly popped back up on the schedule. I'm like, this is great, and people have. She's just such a terrific lady. But whether you have someone from that, obviously The Walking Dead, we had a show in Atlanta in 2010. So this is the very, very start of The Walking Dead. This is the first year, and we had, because it's filmed in Georgia, we had about 17 to 20 of the lesser, the Bicycle Girl, who was in one episode. The little girl, I forget her name, but we've had at that show was like the introduction for people. So yeah, we had Michael Rooker, and we had people that people knew, and then we had all these other guests, and we didn't realize, I think, until we used to have Norman Reedus come to our shows, and it was really from Boondock Saints. So we'd have the 3 Boondock Saints guys, and they're all great, right?
They hold a place in my heart for sure.
And SPF and Rocco, but then. And there's almost like a hierarchy if you look on our website. So the bigger names or the more well-known names are on the first row. You had Stanley, you had those names. And a little further down, back in 2010, 2011, 2012, you had Norman Reedus. And if there was like a Wayback Machine to look at our website and look at our pages, you'd see Reedus going bloop, 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 bloop. And the next thing you knew, he was the top left corner. So Norman Reedus grew from that show tremendously in the fandom, and now he's a top headliner at whatever show he goes to. So for someone like that to see the progression of that, and then you sometimes, you look at different franchises and you say, okay, this is what's coming out soon, and this looks like he might be the breakout star. She might be the breakout star. Let's get her. Let's get him. And sometimes it really is a big hit, and sometimes you bring them in and it doesn't quite break the way you think. The movie comes out and the person's role. I remember we had this, without even saying who it was, we had a movie coming out, a blockbuster film was coming out, and one of these celebrities who we were invited to the show on the thought that his role was going to be bigger in the movie when it came out. Oh, this guy's going to be a big breakout, we're going to get him now, we lock him in. And he was a fine guest, but it didn't turn out the way we thought. It's just because when the movie came out, this guy's role wasn't as big as we thought it would be. And it wasn't the recognizable star. It wasn't someone that had I think from the Guardians 2, Sean Gunn and Michael Rooker, even though they were already really popular, they stole that movie. And so it's been reflected in the couple shows they've been to since that they're really recognized for that now. And you couldn't get 2 better guys either. So we're just happy that for their success. Like we were in Minneapolis when Guardians 2 came out, so a bunch of us went Thursday night and watched it. Now Michael wasn't at that show because he was doing all the press and Sean, they weren't at that show, but we all went to watch it, and for us to see somebody on the screen succeeding in such a big way, we were just excited. We texted him at the end of the movie, and he texted us back. We're like, Michael Rooker just texted us, and we just saw him in the movie. So it's kind of that kind of surreal experience that. It's bonus for us. It's extra for us because we work. But you know what? People get that same feeling when they've just met someone like him at a show. Or they've gotten a photo with him. Or they sat in on the Q&A. And whether or not they got to ask a question. If you're in on the ground floor, those fans, and we didn't have a ton of people at that Atlanta show in 2010. It was the first year we'd been there. It was a weird time of year. I think it was in December. It was a weird time of year. But The fans who went to that and got to sit down on a panel, and we ended up. I was moderating that panel, and I saw a few of the people in the crowd that were from the show, and I said everyone from the show should come up here. We ended up with 19, the Bicycle Girl and all the different. They all came up, and people who went to that panel. That was before anyone really knew, and people became a big fan of that show. They'll never forget having been part of that experience before it was really well known.
Definite story for every situation. The bar, everywhere you go. Never guess what happened.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. You kind of went into why you chose the locations. I was going to ask that, but I think you answered that pretty well. And boy, am I appreciative of you taking a chance on Madison. Because that's when I have some time to be able to go to one of these things. And so, all right, I'm there. Let's see. You know what? I think we're just going to say... we're going to go into our staple questions that I have asked everyone. Throw them for a loop, give them a little brain teaser. First, I need to hear your perfect pizza. And I'm not asking for the Pizza Hut meat lovers. I mean,
Pizza Hut? I live in New Jersey. I live in New York. I wouldn't go near that stuff.
It's an example.
Let me.
Sorry to offend. I don't.
No, you don't offend me. It's okay. I lived in Baltimore for a while, and the pizza was not good in Baltimore. The pizza was terrible in Baltimore. So we actually, and this is 20 years ago, but the pizza was bad. We did Papa John's, mostly because of that little sauce, and mostly because I was a year out of college and needed a $5 pizza. But
hey, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, now, like I'm back home. Like I've lived here for a long time, so we have the best pizza in the world. So for me, I guess you don't want to put too much. We have really good pizza, and whether it's wherever part of the world you're living or part of the country you live in, you want the pizza. It's almost like a hamburger. You don't want to put too much stuff on a good piece of meat on a hamburger. You want to put maybe ketchup, and then you don't want to put too much. So same thing with pizza. You don't want to put like 5 different toppings on a pizza. I like eggplant on pizza.
That's the first.
It makes it right. And people who live in the Midwest or people who are from Houston might not be that familiar with eggplant. But I tell you, eggplant is eggplant on a pizza with just enough Parmesan cheese to coat it a little, and if the eggplant is cooked right, which in New York and New Jersey the eggplant is cooked right, that's the perfect pizza. If eggplant is not available for some reason, I would go with red bell pepper.
Okay.
Red bell pepper.
You so far are the most unique pizza. I will give you that. Maybe sometime, if I'm ever in New York, I will try eggplant pizza.
Have you ever had eggplant?
Oh yeah, I've had eggplant. I'll try anything just to see. I don't dislike eggplant.
They probably don't put eggplant on the. I'll tell you, in Milwaukee though, they're I bet you in Milwaukee you could get an eggplant pizza downtown.
You know what? I'll have to check into that actually. Okay. After that one, this one won't seem so bad. Our last question of the day is: I want to hear your best dad joke. Yeah. So yeah, the silence says it all. Like with most people.
All right, dad joke. Mushroom walks into a bar, orders a beer. Bartender says, "We don't serve your kind here." He says, "Why not? I'm a fun guy."
That was definitely a dad joke, sir. I do appreciate that. Now, I guess for anyone not knowing too much on Wizard World, you've presented a great case. Where do they find you guys? Like, how do they get a hold of you? Or websites, Twitters, whatever. Like, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, we're everywhere, and the good thing is that our social voice is very strong and very interactive. So if you are on our Facebook page, Wizard World, and you have a question or you have a comment on something we've posted, you're going to get a response if it's if it's civil and it's something that is interesting. But Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you go, Wizard World is the keyword for it, and our website is the place to get the information for each show, for all the cities, for which celebrities are already scheduled to attend. Close to the event, it has information about the schedules and who's doing Q&As at different times and different things that are going on at our show. But yeah, Wizard World, the good thing is since we've been so involved in the social media space for so long, we've got that Wizard World name is everywhere, and it's a brand in itself, and hopefully something that people equate with pop culture and with celebrating all the things that people love about
for
pop
sure.
culture.
I highly recommend folks, listeners, check them out. If you get a chance, go to a show. This stuff is like no other experience. I do not believe there's a chance that you will regret it. So with all that, we leave you guys for the night. I hope you enjoyed it. As things go, you can get a hold of me at _signal42 on Twitter and Twitch. Anything else, we will see you next time.